Alright, let's look at our palm series. And in Versatile Fighting Arts, we love elbows, love palms. We'll use fists, but we'll use elbows and palms much more. And I love it with open hand strikes, very internal, energetic strikes. In this palm series, I have used to not just develop my palms, but also this wave action in the body. And it's a force multiplier that increases your power, your palms, your punch. One of the, especially in Versatile Fighting Arts, rotational force, centrifugal force, we're using all these different force multipliers. And so we want to be able to capitalize on this. Now, in order to get your body to be able to get into this whipping motion, then you need a sense of relaxation as well. I'm really tense. I'm not going to be able to pull this off anywhere near as well. When I start, the mechanics of it are, I've got a good firm root, and as I tuck my tailbone in, it creates a certain amount of tension that wants to find a release. And so I let that come up my spine as I come through. So now I'm just here. So I get this wave. What I'm not doing is tucking in and then sticking my tailbone back out, because now I've just sent all that energy out the backside. What I want to be able to do is channel it up and out through my body. So here. So in order to run through the series and to use this, this is part of the dynamics that this series helps develop within you. And it has a lot of uses, other than health benefits as well as martial benefits. So let's kind of run through the series, and we'll put the pieces together. And we'll kind of come back and look at some details. So we'll kind of start out in a neutral position. And that's our palm series. So the first palm is that thrusting palm. And I'm going to let that kinetic chain start really from my feet, work through my hips, my knees, my hips, my spine. I can feel it in my shoulders, elbows, wrists, hands. So you want to practice this. Practice this, what we call dragon back. Just feeling this energy. And then begin to express it more. So then we get to the thrusting palm. It should be now, the second one I'm going to scoop. I'm going to bring my elbow back, but I'm still within my frame. So I'm going to bring it up. I'm not going way back here, where now I'm past, my elbow is past my hip line. Instead, I want to bring it right along the backside of the hip line. And then as I begin to move, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand. And it's very loose. I came along in the arts, we turned to water strikes. Things that were just, had a lot of power behind them, but they were very loose. We had water strikes with the wrist. This also can be considered in that family, because I'm just looking at my energy. My opponent's going to be right here. My energy is going to take it all the way to the floor. Same thing when we throw an elbow or we throw a punch. I'm punching through my opponent. I'm throwing elbows through my opponent. And the same thing here. I'm scooping. And here, my lifting palm is the third one. Now, I like it to connect it from my hip So once again, it starts in the heel, moves my body, and this hip begins to throw. So sometimes I use it, I get over somebody's power, and I have a hip. My hip will project to my elbow, and I'm using all of this in a lifting, for my lifting palm. Another way that I've used it was coming up inside the jawline and using it up here. So look at this. So we've gone 1, 2, 3. Now 4, scoops again, but this time the elbow stays more in front of the body, or just no more than coming into the side. But I really like it for it to stay a little bit on this front quadrant here. And now it's a splashing palm. So this once again leads. Remember, everything here is whip. So everything here is, I'm going to whip, and this is coming down. Then I'm going to gather, and remember, the whole body, this kinetic chain. And now I'm coming up. One hand, it divides. This hand's going to come down here on the low line. It starts from the high, and I divide energy here. I'm hitting upwards. Okay? Now, from here, I'm going to take it across. I like having, as I call it, the waiter. Then when I turn it over, I'm still keeping that bend, because when I go to use this chopping palm, I'm going to use this strike to come in. Now, piercing palm, there's a couple different ways. I could have it out here depending upon how I want to use it. I like when I go to teach this, in my personal practice, I keep this really close, and I want to generate this piercing up. I also use this on the downside here, but the idea of a piercing palm is I want to pierce through. Now, scoop the moon, coil, follow down, come up. So open palm, I'm just following that energy. I can take it high, I can take it low. The next one is a series of 1, 2, 3. I can go forward, I can go back. Next one, low strike. Notice that I'm loaded up here as well. So I'm going to hit low. It's kind of a transition, but there's a middle strike. Back high. And I can do this from high, middle, low. I tend to go low, middle, high. Now I'm going to turn and shut the door. Now this still scoops. We have a lot of this. Almost every style has some form of this. But I love this one. Now I'm going to come across, watch this hand and watch this hand in my body. So I'm using this to come across. Now this next one, the emphasis is actually on the back slapping hand down. So as I step back, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to divide. So my front hand is going forward, but the power from here is in the rear hand slapping behind. Now from here, rise, drill, overturn, fall, and then just from right where you are, again. Now left hand circles, right hand pierces, then we only have a few more. Left hand comes across, this is a strike, it catches, this is a strike, that's a strike. We actually do this in one of our Uchino katas. And the last one, so remember I have 1, 2, 3. So feel this in your body. We've been working on this dragging back energy. We've been working on coiling energy, whipping energy. And then now we have this horizontal hooking energy along with, and then good gorilla. So this is really just letting it all go. And then I want to whip through my body. at the pieces? So let's look at the pieces again. So as we go through our palm series, so we start, we're just here. So as we start, we're going to start in neutral stance, evenly weighted. As I begin to move, I want to create this wave in my body. I do that by tucking my pelvis in. That tension then needs to go somewhere, and I begin to let it ripple up my spine. You need to be relaxed in order to be able to do this. The more tense you are, the harder it's going to be. But notice that I'm just... When I first started, I was very tense, and so this was the series that helped me to become more pliable. Now, you can sit here, now notice what I'm not doing. I'm not tucking it in and then sending my tailbone back out the back. I need to create still a little bit of that tension so that it has to go somewhere. My feet are on the earth, it's not moving my feet, so I'm going to let that energy come out the upper part of my body. So we just begin to play with this, and what my focus is on is not the hands while I'm doing this initial part. What my focus is on my upper, the whipping of the spine. So our first palm is a thrusting palm. Neutral position, just out here. I'm going to engage, and then as I let it go, every joint gets to be expressed, so every joint has to be loose. So I'm going to feel this, and as it hits my shoulders, then I'm going to feel my shoulder move, I'm going to feel my elbow move, I'm going to feel my wrist move, and then I can pull my fingers back. So, 1, scoop, bring this back, don't go farther back than the very back of your hip. You want to keep this structurally in line with your body. I don't want to be out here. I'll lose my power. So I'm just here. Now when I throw, the hip starts, the shoulder starts, the elbow starts, and then the wrist, then the hand. So you have this very, very relaxed, very loose. There's a lot of power behind this when you are relaxed. Now, my opponent is here. The energy that I'm hitting him with is hitting towards the floor, and he just happens to be in the way. You'll feel that. So, 1, 2. Lifting palm, once again, starts for me in the root with my feet, but it expresses from using my hip to drive forward, and I'm going to lift. So as my hip begins, I get that wave rolling action in my body. Then I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to express through my driver, my elbow, up. I may hit it here, go farther, just to get that feeling of where is my energy coming from and where is it going. So that's our lifting palm. Turn it over. My splashing palm is going to come on the front side of my body, whereas throwing palm went back behind. So I'm just going to lift this, keep it towards the front, and once again, same throwing action that we had before, we have now. When I go to do my splash, here, say the back of my opponent, I'm going to pull my fingers back. So I'm sending my energy down as if I were hitting on a pond of water. My next one, whipping palm. 2 hands, one's high, one's low. I'm going to gather that energy. Now once again, we talked about where's the whip in the body. We want to have, we were working on this whip front to back, and we want to work on the side. I'm whipping this into my opponent. This hand's going to divide. I got a little push-pull action as well. Now, the next one comes across. As you can see, I have this, what I call the waiter. So it's bent. As I turn it over, it stays bent. Because I'm going to use that. Remember, every joint is loose, and every joint becomes something that we are using combatively. So I went, I can come way back here if I want, but I'm coming in. I like to use the two hands as a support to push, but I'm whipping this chopping into my opponent. Great place for throats. Coming in. Piercing palm is next. Two hand locations for piercing palm. Close is the way I like it. And I start out just doing this nice and soft, but then with all this, go a little bit in, make it more intentional. My hands can be out here or here, depends upon how I'm going to use this. But this is piercing palm. Scooping the moon, coiling energy. So I'm going to come up. I'm going to follow down. That's our scooping palm. I don't have to go all the way down. I can come here. I can use this to get out of wrist locks, get escapes, azushis, but I'm going to come down right here. 1, 2, 3. So 3 forward palms that are just, I could also go reverse. The direction won't matter. I'm just using 1, 2, 3 to get across my power, or maybe I'm clearing. That's 1, 2, 3. Next one are 3 strikes. Low, middle, high. They can be reversed. I can go high, middle, low. Doesn't matter. I tend to go low. There's exchange here, and then high. The next one, notice this coiling, shut the door. So, it isn't just in the arms, use your waist. So you get this whipping action again. More coiling, come out. Chopping palm. Now this next one, the focus is on this front hand coming back, not the back hand coming front. So this is going to scoop, my left hand is going to scoop and do piercing up here. The real power is my outside hand, the right hand, slapping palm back. So I'm here, and I'm slapping. Now, rise drill, overturn, fall. That was the long version, short version. Scooping palm with the left hand, chopping palm or piercing palm comes up from here, so I'm dividing using the both. Now, hooking, chopping. So this is a strike, this is a strike. So within this series I have worked on coiling action, I've worked on whipping from the front, whipping from the side. Alright, I have worked on, as I mentioned, the coiling. So now this is going to be on a horizontal plane here, here. So this is a strike and a hook, strike. This can be strike, strike. We have an uchi no kata, one of our forms of striking. This is one towards the end of one of them. 1, 2, 3. So I'm coming in here, here, and big gorilla move. So I'm just dropping everything. Now what goes down must come up. So I'm going to have this wave. Notice I'm collecting everything in my body.